You remember where it is, don't you? I'd better get out of here. Filch might be lurking nearby.
Well. I heard a crash, and what do I find?
Sequels often get a bad rap, whether that be albums, games, or movies. A lot of the time, they may be rushed to capitalise on a current wave of excitement. Or sometimes people's expectations may just be too high, but sometimes they can be great, exceeding everyone's expectations. Last time I spoke about Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on PC, a movie game tie-in that I liked, but wouldn't exactly say that I loved completely, but that does a decent enough job. So how does its sequel hold up? Let's talk about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And yes, I have the box for this one. As with the previous game, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was developed by No Wonder and published by EA, released in 2002 alongside the second film. This time I decided to edit the game file to play it in glorious 1080p, and from the opening cutscene, you can tell right away that a lot more work was put into this game. Instead of a storybook, the introduction here is a full in-game cutscene, which works much more effectively at welcoming us into the magical world of Harry Potter. Dobby tries to prevent Harry from going back to Hogwarts, but not before Ron, Fred and George rescue Harry and their parents' stolen flying car. Buying books for school, Harry encounters the famous Gilderoy Lockhart, who will be teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts that year at Hogwarts, and Ginny gets given a mysterious book from Draco's father, Lucius Malfoy. Harry and Ron end up missing the Hogwarts Express and are forced to fly the Ford Anglia to Hogwarts.
Now all we've got to worry about are airplanes.
Crashing into the Whomping Willow, Harry wakes to find Ron trapped by the giant tree. At this point you gain control of Harry, and immediately can feel that the controls are much better than those in the first game. Here, Harry can strafe and cast spells while moving, so freeing. This level acts as the tutorial, where, thank God, you have retained the spells learnt in the last game, including Flipendo to push objects and Alohomora to unlock chests and secret entrances. You also remember Lumos, which this time reveals hidden openings as well as platforms. Bertie Bott's every flavour beans are still present, this time in their thousands, and Fred and George have expanded their bean business from last year, with a number of associates around the castle offering to trade beans for potions ingredients and wizard cards. This year, wizard cards are found in 3 variants. Bronze wizard cards are the most common, and every 10 cards you collect earns you an extra stamina bar. Silver wizard cards are rarer, and collecting them gradually unlocks access to a secret challenge that I'll discuss later. Returning from the last game are also chocolate frogs, which this time have a tendency to jump away before you can catch them. Harry rescues Ron, and the pair make it back to Hogwarts and meet up with Hermione, who lets them into the Gryffindor common room. The next morning, Hermione is overjoyed that their first lesson is with the wonderful Professor Lockhart and leads you to the 3rd floor. Although the entrance hallway is very similar to that of the first game, when you reach the grand staircase, the much larger scope of the game becomes apparent. Almost all the castle and grounds are accessible from the beginning of the game, a big improvement from the last game. This presents a great amount of exploration and wonder from the outset, but as certain areas and secrets require spells that are not yet known, it also provides the perfect excuse for returning later. The caretaker Argus Filch, the star of the last game, returns to accuse Harry of breaking an antique vase when Harry hears a mysterious voice. Making it to class, the rather handsome Professor Lockhart teaches Harry Rictus Sempra, a stunning jinx that is used to knock out creatures, functioning similarly to the Flipendo spell in the last game. To learn the spell, the arrow keys must be tapped in time to a wand floating around the spell symbol, far easier than the tracing required in the last game. And by the 3rd iteration, a bit too easy for a pro gamer like me. Harry then enters the Rictus Sempra challenge, an area full of opportunity to test out the new spell. New to this year's challenges is the Completion Star, a large star located at the end of the challenge, which must be reached before a timer runs out. Challenge stars are also present, which boost Harry's timer and score. Starting the challenge, you come across a fire crab, a turtle-like creature that shoots fire out of it. They're pretty similar to those in the previous game, although this time they are stunned by Rictus Sempra, and can be moved around with Flipendo onto buttons or into chambers to unlock doors. Fire snails also return, although this time are far more aggressive and chase after you. These are also stunned by Rictus Emperor and can be pushed around with Flipendo, with a delightful noise. Gnomes, the second star of the last game, are found here too, but instead of lying down after being hit with Flipendo, they rudely get back up and mock you, unless you bowl them into their gnome holes. This challenge has several puzzles, including this one that involves matching pictures of Lockhart. My word, he really does love himself, doesn't he? After some treacherous platforming and a mad dash up a tower, Harry reaches the completion star. The added time element to challenges greatly increases the excitement, and the more dangerous enemies add real threat. New to this game is a weekly house point ceremony, where a representative of the current leading house gets to enter the bonus bean room, an area stuffed full of beans, with some areas that become accessible after learning more spells. It's the perfect reward for completing challenges efficiently. Oliver Wood then takes you to Quidditch Practice, where playing Quidditch seems to be a lot easier than the previous game. Most of the flying is taken care of, and you only have to adjust your position behind the snitch until you've been following directly behind it for long enough to catch it. The opposition seeker is also trying to follow the snitch, and colliding with them or any other obstacles will decrease your proximity bar. To counter this, you are actively encouraged to knock them unconscious by kicking them until they pass out. Quidditch can be played throughout the game by heading to the Quidditch pitch in the grounds, and winning matches can earn Gryffindor house points, useful if you need to get an edge over the other houses to win the weekly house point ceremony. Why is it always Harry that gets to go in? After practice, the Slytherin team invades the pitch to show off their stunning new brooms, and Malfoy calls Hermione a mudblood, leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouths. The next day, Harry arrives late to potions class again, where the Wiggenweld potion recipe is taught, consisting of Flobberware mucus and Wiggentree bark, ingredients that are found occasionally throughout the castle or sold by the various traders. This healing potion can be used to replenish some of Harry's stamina when there are no chocolate frogs about. Following the lesson, Harry hears the same voice in the walls, leading the trio to find Mrs. Norris, Filch's cat, petrified underneath a message written in blood, a great visual reference to the film. In Charms class with Professor Flitwick, Hermione asks about the chamber, before the class is then taught Scourge, a charm that removes ectoplasm, a harmful green slime that blocks doors and covers floors. Ectoplasm, being a relatively passive entity, doesn't pose too much of a threat, but the other creatures throughout the challenge do provide some danger. Scourge can also be used against Peeves, the third star of the first game.
Well, if it isn't Snotty Grotty Snotty Potty Water, I like your name. It rhymes with so many insulting things.
Who returns to jump out at Harry from random chests when you least expect him.
Aha!
The Scourge challenge also introduces Cornish pixies, flying blue creatures that... wait, these are just rehashed doxies from the first game? Never mind, these are 1000% more cute. The challenge is good, although not too challenging, but does have a great eeriness to it. After completing the challenge, the trio head back to the message on the wall and work out that the puddles of water had come from the nearby girls' bathroom, occupied by Moaning Myrtle. They suspect that Draco may be the heir of Slytherin, and decide to brew Polyjuice Potion to disguise Harry as Goyle to interrogate Draco. Setting off for some bicorn horn, Harry sneaks into the dungeons to find the rare ingredient in Snape's storage room, solving puzzles and attacking creatures along the way. After pilfering the ingredient, Harry learns about a dueling club set up by Lockhart and Snape.
I am your colleague, not your assistant.
Dueling can be played as a minigame by heading to the antechamber by the Great Hall, where beans are pledged and the winner takes the lot. Each successive competitor provides a harder challenge, and more beans can be won. It can be a good little money earner if you're short, especially good for purchasing expensive Quidditch equipment. When dueling, there are 3 spells that can be cast. Rictus Emperor, the stunning jinx that causes opponents to lose stamina. Mimblewimble, a spell that causes your opponent to mispronounce their next spell.
Expelliarmus!
And Expelliarmus, to reflect spells back at your opponent. I found that the best tactic for dueling is simply to reflect spells back at your opponent, as they are generally too good at evading spells cast at them, although this did suck some of the fun out of dueling for me. Not that I was actually that good at it anyway, but... For the first duel, Harry is pitted against Draco Malfoy. Malfoy casts a snake, which Harry talks to unwittingly using Parcel Tongue, shocking everyone in the room. Is Harry a descendant of Salazar Slytherin? Hermione skips herbology class to work on the Polyjuice potion, while Harry and Ron head to the greenhouse to learn Diffindo, a severing charm.
Let's dig right in, shall we? Would you like to plant your feet in front of class?
Taking a leaf from Hermione's book, aren't you?
They really squeezed a lot of plant puns in here, didn't they? Diffindo is used to destroy spiky bushes and venomous tentacula, working similarly to Incendio from the previous game, but can also cut ropes, vines, and spider webs. Diffindo also cuts the stems of hawklump mushrooms, which, if otherwise approached, produce poisonous gas. Cut mushroom heads can be picked up and thrown to decapitate other mushrooms, but instead of cutting them, it's far more economical to allow any nearby gnomes to eat the mushrooms, producing beans. Also new are bowtruckles, tree spirits that guard Wigan trees. They are very aggressive, throwing bits of wood at Harry, until they are hit by Diffindo, breaking into Wigan tree bark that can be used in potions. The Diffindo challenge is actually really enjoyable, full of hidden secrets and threatening enemies. The environment fits the challenge well, full of gardening related objects including plant pots and watering cans that spray out beans. The architecture matches that of old university quads and has many plant related motifs throughout. After completing the Diffindo challenge, Harry is sent to collect the second Polyjuice potion ingredient, shredded boomslang skin, from a greenhouse. This level kind of feels like an extension of the Diffindo challenge, but with far more danger. Oh my god, they can walk now! Also introduced are an extremely venomous and large variety of spider, which march towards Harry to bite him until stunned by Rictus Emperor. Even when knocked out, they still twitch, really creepy. A short time later, the ingredient is collected, and winter strikes Hogwarts, the perfect time to interrogate Malfoy. Harry goes to see how the Polyjuice potion is coming along, but not before he comes across a petrified, nearly headless Nick, and is sent to talk to Dumbledore. You briefly get to explore Dumbledore's office, a part of the game I've always found to be super magical due to the hidden secrets, and this being the only time to look around. After a dramatic conversation with the Sorting Hat,
Oh my gosh!
Harry watches as Fawkes the Phoenix bursts into flames as Dumbledore walks in. He asks Harry if there's anything he wants to tell him, but Harry keeps his Parselmouth ability to himself. Harry meets up with Hermione, who sends him off to collect a hair sample from Goyle to add to the potion. This section involves navigating through buildings and gardens to reach him, which, although fun, does go on a bit. You find him sleeping in a barn surrounded by chicken drumsticks, and you pluck a hair from his unconscious body before heading back to Hermione's biochemistry lab to add it to the potion. Finally complete, Harry gulps down the potion and transforms into Goyle, which also somehow changes the colour of his uniform and makes his voice deeper and more dopey.
Okay.
Heading to the Slytherin common room, Goyle, Harry navigates his way through a series of puzzles and platforming sections to reach the common room. Why is there all this challenge to get to a common room? Do they all have to do this? Where Malfoy reveals he doesn't know who the heir of Slytherin is. What a waste of time. However, before escaping the common room, Harry transforms back to his old self and has to sneak out without getting caught. This little section can be really stressful, but proper exploration reveals a secret passage to escape more easily. Ah, there's some on the other side! Before we carry on, let's talk about the presentation. The game carries over the same visual style from the previous game, with a lot of the same assets, although with some updated character and enemy models. Lighting effects have been improved, with added sunbeams and glowing halos. Some of these scenes are breathtaking, and many perfectly mirror sets used in the film, immersing the player in the world. Sound effects again are brilliant, with highlights including the frothiness of wizard cards as they fly from chests. The crunching of a gnome eating mushrooms, and the flourish of finding a secret area. The music, once again composed by Jeremy Soule, is superb, my personal favourite being the piece that plays during the pause menu. I could just listen for hours. The voice acting is an improvement, with more hits than misses. Ron and Hermione sound great, with some hilarious lines.
Before that lecture, I thought I knew everything I wanted to about Flobber 1 mucus, and I was right.
It'll be wonderful. Professor Lockhart is going to teach us Spongify.
I can't go in there. That's a girl's bathroom.
Professor Lockhart especially steals the show.
My fame makes an introduction unnecessary, but I'll delight you with one anyway.
Concentrate on the symbol before you. Don't let my good looks distract you.
You're not through yet. Down you go.
No!
Harry sounds better in this game, although can be a bit annoying at times.
Oh no! What are we going to do?
And some of the other writing is, once more, spot on.
I wonder if dueling is a good way to meet cute wizards.
You are trying my patience, Potter.
Hi, I'm Arthur. I have a smashing collection of non-magical cricket balls.
Don't mind him. That's Marilyn's younger brother Arthur. He's a bit off.
My Beetle Pinchers collection is much better than my sister's.
Going back to the game, the trio are none the wiser to who or what is causing the attacks, and continue their lessons as before. Returning to Professor Lockhart's class, Harry learns Spongify, a spell that activates special Spongify carpets, where jumping on them propels you to high places. They are also found all throughout Hogwarts, helping you access even more hidden areas. The Spongify challenge is a real highlight, combining the joy of bouncing on all the Spongify carpets with a massive number of hidden secrets and real danger. Imps are also introduced, highly aggressive creatures that bite. They can be knocked over and thrown into imp holes, much like gnomes, but don't hold on to them for too long. After getting through the challenge, Ron tells Harry that Moaning Myrtle is really upset, and after arriving at the bathroom, Harry finds an old empty journal belonging to T.M. Riddle. Harry is transported to past Hogwarts and observes a young Hagrid trying to protect his pet giant spider from Tom Riddle, which he suspects of killing a girl. The spider escapes, and back in the present day, Ron and Harry head to Hagrid's, while Hermione heads to the library to explore an idea she has. Arriving at Hagrid's hut, the pair observe Lucius Malfoy sending Hagrid away to Azkaban prison and suspending Dumbledore. Harry heads into the Forbidden Forest to find the spider, where he has to navigate on fallen trees, through caves, and over waterfalls. This section is fun, with some challenging platforming required. Reaching Aragog, Harry learns that the spider hasn't left the forest for decades, and so can't be responsible for the current series of attacks. However, Aragog still tries to prevent Harry leaving, and a boss battle commences. To defeat the spider, you have to cut support webs around the arena, while spiders attack you from both sides, until Aragog falls down and attacks you himself. The battle is kinda fun, but over reasonably quickly and easily, although can be fatal if you're not quick on your feet. Ron comes to rescue Harry in the flying car, where he tells Harry that Hermione has been petrified. Visiting Hermione in the hospital wing, they realise that the attacker is a basilisk, a giant snake that has been moving around the plumbing. Another student is attacked. This time, Ginny Weasley. The pair decide to do something and head down to the chamber from the hidden entrance in the girls' bathroom, dragging Lockhart with them.
No!
After a memory charm goes wrong, Lockhart and Ron are trapped, and Harry must brave the chamber alone. The chamber incorporates some great action sequences, puzzles, and dangerous creatures, all contained within a murky setting that really matches the age and disuse of the chamber, with rusty iron platforms and mossy stone walls. Eventually, the final chamber is reached, where the designers have reflected the look of the film set extremely well, with fire-breathing snakeheads and a giant statue of Slytherin. Harry finds an unconscious Ginny when a ghostly Tom Riddle appears and explains that Ginny has been writing in the diary for months, allowing Tom to gain power and control her into opening the Chamber of Secrets. He reveals himself to be the one and only Lord Voldemort and summons the Basilisk to kill Harry. Fawkes comes to Harry's rescue, delivers the Sword of Gryffindor, and blinds the Basilisk. The boss battle that ensues is excellent. Initially, the snake spews out glowing purple venom and lunges down at Harry, while Harry can use the sword to shoot energy at the Basilisk. After a short battle, the snake slithers away but returns, bursting through vents in the ground. The Basilisk evades Harry's attacks, so the best way of hitting it is either by being very close or by waiting until it is distracted by shooting deadly venom, both of which can leave you vulnerable. Eventually, Harry defeats the Basilisk, which falls on the diary and pierces it with a fang, shooting ink everywhere and causing Tom Riddle to become simply a memory once more. On the last day of school, Hermione encourages you to finish off everything you need before heading to the House Cup ceremony in the main hall. The final Quidditch match against Slytherin is now available, where Harry and Malfoy chase the snitch into the stands. How exciting! But what about all those silver wizard cards you were collecting? If you've managed to collect all 40, a secret area is unlocked, the Gold Wizard Card Challenge. This is a massive challenge that tests everything you've learned over the year, where there are 11 gold wizard cards to collect in a short period of time. After collecting them, a giant replica of each card stands in the hallway to the challenge. This challenge is a real treat, the perfect reward for thoroughly exploring every corner of Hogwarts. Heading to the Great Hall, the House Cup ceremony begins.
This House Cup ceremony brings the school year to an end. And an eventful year it was. And now for the second place house.
It'll be you, Gryffindors. You're naturally second best. You won't steal the house cup from Slytherin like you did last year.
After barely escaping disqualification, Slytherin
What?
That means...
first place, and the house cup goes to Gryffindor.
Yes! We did it again!
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was one of my favourite games when I was younger, and one that I still think holds up today. Although not too challenging unless you're a kid, it still remains magical and enchanting, even into adulthood, and I think it's a game that I'm never going to throw away. Next time I'm going to be looking into the third game in the series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Yes, I just changed the 1 to a 3. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you next time. Right, I've had it with you. You're going over, I'm sorry, you're going straight into the goo. Oh! Ew. Oh my god, that's the snail trying to get through. There you go. Ah, leave me alone. Oh my god, he's riding on it. It's like one of those cats on a Roomba.
Oh my gosh!